Hello again. So I'm pretty new to the whole public speaking thing. So as I stand here, I could really ask myself, like, what am I doing? Why am I on this stage? I'm a fairly quiet person, and I don't like drawing attention to myself. So this is quite an unnatural thing for me to do. I'm not going to lie, I can feel my heart beating really fast. And my comfort zone is like way over there, and I'm like hiding around there. So if I'm feeling like this, you might be wondering, like, what on earth am I doing up here? And that's a good question. And it's something I often have to ask myself in situations like this. I came here today to learn, of course, and I'm speaking to you because, selfishly, I would quite like to work on my public speaking skills. And by sharing something with you, I'm also learning something myself. And the only way I could make this happen today was to really push myself out of my comfort zone. I've had to deal with imposter syndrome, worries about getting it wrong, worries about looking like an idiot in front of loads of people, and these worries haven't gone away yet. And I really hope they do with experience. But until they do, I just have to accept them. I have to learn to feel comfortable with potentially looking like an idiot in front of everyone. And so the first time I put myself in this situation was around 18 months ago. I'm a front-end developer. I learned to code between the classroom at university and in my own time. I made my websites work in whichever way I needed to, just to pass my assignments and things like that. And I also built some really small, like terrible websites just to make a few quid while I was at uni and to sort of learn the ropes and stuff. And I used endless plugins, like jQuery plugins, WordPress themes, and basically anything I had to just to get the job done. I often copied and pasted code from various forums and blog posts. I was what Chris Heilman would call a full Stack Overflow developer. I don't know if you've heard of this, but a full Stack Overflow developer is someone who basically copies and pastes everything instead of learning how to do it for themselves. And that's exactly who I was. And it satisfied me for a while. And it got me through my first few web agency jobs where the time was monitored and this approach was just completely acceptable. And after about 6 to 12 months of working like this, I decided that I couldn't do it anymore. It really didn't feel right to just not know so much of what I was adding to my sites. And yeah, it didn't feel right. I wanted to learn how to write JavaScript for myself and understand any of the code that I was putting in, not just JavaScript. And so I also wanted to have time to learn this as well, which is really important. And that's how I ended up at Clearleft 18 months ago. So I was the first permanent junior hire at Clearleft, and I suddenly found myself surrounded by loads of really experienced and talented people. And I often get imposter syndrome, and I find it difficult to believe sometimes that I can contribute anything useful when I'm surrounded by so many people with like so much more knowledge and experience than me. And I've had to learn a lot of JavaScript and other continuously work on my coding skills, and I've had to really keep up with what I need to do for each project I'm on. And I also haven't used any plugins in production code since I've joined Clearleft. And if I'm honest, I actually find coding quite hard. Sometimes I'm slow at it. Sometimes my code doesn't work. And sometimes I feel like I just can't do it. And I've wasted hours trying to fix bugs caused by one missing character. And I've spent ages refreshing the wrong pages, and then I really feel like an idiot. And then sometimes my code works, and it's amazing, and it's the best feeling ever, and I could run outside and hug someone. And I love hearing about other people's frustrations. I know that sounds really bad, but it reminds me that this is normal, and these highs and lows happen, and it's fine. So my advice to anyone learning a new skill, particularly web development, would be to never be afraid of asking for help, because you're not alone. It's okay to say that you don't know. And speak to other developers around you, because they will have experienced the same frustrations, and together you can solve problems quicker. So what has made constant learning easier to manage for me is being lucky enough to have a mentor, Jeremy at Clearleft, who was already assigned to me when I joined. And he's given me all of the support and teaching that I needed to sort of get to work on large projects and improve my skills quickly. And it's been challenging at times too. I think it takes a little time to get used to working closely with someone, particularly if you don't know them very well. And a mentor also needs to get to know how the student responds best to different ways of teaching and different ways of learning and things like that. You need to listen to each other, and you need a lot of patience. And it's really important to build a positive relationship. And so what was interesting for us, and probably a comfort, was that neither of us had done this before, and neither of us really knew what we were doing. So if I had to give 3 pieces of advice from my perspective to anyone thinking of mentoring, they would be, firstly, find the right level of challenge. So give junior developers the support they need to work on challenging projects, but also make sure that they have enough work that they can do unsupported or with minimal support so that they can build up their confidence. Like, if you feel like you can't do anything without support, then it's kind of detrimental to self-belief. So it's really good to feel independent as well. Also, show up when you need to. That sounds quite obvious, but arrange regular meetups. So firstly, so that both parties remember to show up, but also so that you have that space that you need to take everything in and to be independent as well. And learn from each other. So mentors should make it clear that they're learning as well. And I don't think there's any right or wrong approach to this. It can vary depending on who's doing it, the abilities, the skills, and preferred ways of learning and teaching and things like that. And you could even try reverse mentoring, where the less experienced party will give some coaching to the more experienced party. I know a couple of organisations are trying this at the moment, and it could be an interesting experiment. So perhaps you could pair a junior developer with someone like a CEO who maybe not have otherwise spoken to each other before, and you sort of end up having a lot more empathy for their roles and just knowing that each other are there. Or it may be that a junior learns something and they teach that to a more senior member of staff, and perhaps, even though the senior would already know how to do that bit of code, perhaps the new approach that the junior has offered is something new and useful. And perhaps a junior, like, sorry, I've just forgotten what I was going to say. No, I'm going to move on, sorry. So I'm very lucky to have learned so much from people sharing what they know. And until recently, it didn't occur to me that sharing what I know could be useful too. Some great advice I received from Jeremy is to have my own website and document what I'm learning. My initial response to this was just like, what's the point? You know, everything I learn, everyone already knows, so what's the point in sharing this? Because I'm not telling anyone anything new. But it turns out there's some really good reasons for doing this. Firstly, readers get a better understanding of something when it's explained by the learner rather than the expert. And writing things down can help me understand them. So I might learn something, I document it, and then a few months later go back to it on a project because I need reminding of how to do it. And for me, that's just a really useful resource to have. And there's also, always lots of people out there who are still learning, and you never know when someone might find that useful. I couldn't believe it when my old university lecturer got in touch and said that she was using my Flexbox posts in her class material. And so I was really surprised to hear that. And so it turns out I can teach, and in fact we can all teach. I discovered CodeBar around the same time I joined Clearleft. And CodeBar is a place for underrepresented groups in tech to learn how to code in a safe and collaborative environment. People give up their Tuesday evenings to teach each other how to code for free, and local web agencies will offer their workspaces for free, and they sponsor the pizza that we share at the start of the event each week. And so I initially attended CodeBar as a student because I wanted to work on my JavaScript skills, and then I found CodeBar to be so much more relevant in university. I was learning from industry professionals and socializing with people who had the same goals as me. And a few months later, they were short of coaches, so I nervously offered to start teaching some HTML and CSS to beginners. And it amazed me that I, a junior developer at the time, could actually teach anyone anything. And so a few months ago, I joined the team of organizers at CodeBar. And I'm really passionate about providing a place for people to learn to code and at the same time improve diversity in tech. The most amazing thing is seeing people join CodeBar at the very start of their learning journey and watch them progress. And so this year I helped two women, I saw two women who I helped at CodeBar get their first jobs in the industry as junior developers, and I remember introducing them to their first lines of HTML and CSS, and now they're doing really well in their jobs. And it's just really nice to see, and it makes me feel quite proud. And I'm proud to be part of a team who worked so hard to make this event possible. And I'm also proud to be part of an industry where so many people are willing to just give up their own time and money to share their knowledge and help each other learn. So I would like to end my talk with this message. However much or little you think you know, there's always more to learn and there's always more to teach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.